Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. Yes, we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
All right, we are live. Welcome to a brand new edition, a Saturday edition, a special edition of FinsTalk OverTime. That's Bret. I'm Bobby Melendez. We're going to get you prepped for the draft and obviously talk Miami Dolphins football. Of course, you can follow Bret at BretLegacy67 on Twitter, myself, Bobby FinsTalk, and the show, FinsTalk Today. Evan, everyone who's watching, thank you. And let's get this ball rolling. Of course, smash that like and subscribe button. All right, so what's on the table today? Bret, we are talking about the NFL draft. This is draft week, starts Thursday. Of course, Miami does not have a first or second round pick, but that could change. That's something we'll discuss later. And we'll be talking about mock drafts. And of course, we're going to get over Chris Greer's comments and, what they've discussed. Of course, Tua talked as well, but we're going to really stick to Chris Greer. And then, of course, we're going to release our final Miami Dolphins mock draft. So first, before we get started, how you doing?
I'm good. This is different. Sun's out, so it's kind of weird.
I know. It's a little early. It's refreshing, It's not like, the end of the night here. Everybody gets to kind of relax on a Saturday and watch some Dolphins content. But also, if you're watching this afterwards, good for you too. You got something to watch later in the evening.
Hey, my lighting is better with the sun out. I like it.
That's right. I can actually see the details of the face.
Yeah.
Great.
I can see what I look like now. Now you know who to cuss out and you see me at a game sometime.
That's right. I didn't like what you said. You said about Tua, man. No, just kidding. All right. So let's first get into it here. And, of course, we're also going to talk about what our plan is for draft week and what we're going to do. And that'll be later on. We'll kind of fill that in, and once we get the ball rolling here. But let's first start off with Chris Greer. He had talked about a lot of things. So what we'll do is, as we're going over these talking points that he brought up, if we think we need to stop and kind of react and discuss those things, we will do so and kind of go from there. So first off, when discussing the Tyreek Hill trade and keeping the 2023 draft capital picks they currently have, Chris Greer said it's important for us to keep those 2023 first-round picks because we have done so much to acquire those. Greer said, when you make a move like Tyreek, you want to have picks for the future. 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. We feel good about that heading into 2023.
You should.
I absolutely agree with that. You're going into the draft. You're going into the draft with 4 picks. And again, I think those picks are very important, but you're going into the draft for 4 picks. And yes, Miami looks great on paper. I mean, it's flashy. They've won the offseason. However, when it counts, can they get it done during the regular season when the time comes? Do they have enough depth? And that's what you do. You build during the draft. So my question for you is, yes, I assume we are both happy Miami has kept most of their 2023 picks. That could change if they decide to trade up. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about Deebo. I'm not going to forget that. Are you okay with Miami just having 4 draft picks going into the draft this week?
Yeah, because I'm not overly – this draft has solid talent, but this draft isn't I have to have this guy or this guy. There's nobody in this draft that I'm like, oh, my God, he's an immediate upgrade. I need to have him where I need to trade next year's picks for him. Next year's picks are very important. I hang on to those picks, so nothing's worth risking next year for that. Even for Deebo, I've been trolling people on both sides about whether I would trade for Deebo or not. But honestly, I don't know that I would, unless I'm willing to give up picks in 24 and 25 if need be to move up to get what I need next year, depending on how things go. But there's a reason they're keeping 2023 picks because there's a couple questions on the roster and they need those answered. And if they're not answered this year, 2023 is the year they're getting that answer. Or
Don't
they're
be
going to try
shy.
to solve it.
Don't be shy. Tell the world what your question was.
That answer is quarterback. I mean, he pretty much said it. They're very important. Why do they feel good about having his picks next year? What is it? 4 in the first 3 rounds, right?
5 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Five picks in the first 3 rounds.
2 first, 1 second, 2 thirds.
All right, yeah. So I always get that backwards. So we got 5 picks next year. That can easily move up into having 3 first-round picks next year, depending on how things go. Honestly, it's for a quarterback, and there's a good chance that there's a good quarterback class next year. And last time in 2020, when we didn't have a lot of picks, they kind of stuck with it. They didn't trade up and down. They kind of settled with what they had. They even tried to get Josh Rosen. Remember that whole fiasco? So they were kind of, let's stick with what we got. Or sorry, that was 19, and they focused on 2020. Well, I think they're gonna do that again. Greer does not like gamble in the future. He will gamble picks from this year, but not so much the future. So I like it. Keep the picks for next year. Go all out and get the roster built this year. And if whatever you can't get in the draft or however the draft goes, go get a couple free agents. Go get a couple fillers in free agency, some veterans, play this year, see how far you go, see where the team's at, and then go from there.
100%. All right. Wynn asked if it's okay to assume Miami will not try to move up into round 1. Greer said, yeah. Before adding, we'll always listen if there's an opportunity for a guy we think is a special talent that's falling. I would never say never. We'll always investigate anything. Mm-hmm. I had a question here, and so I'll talk. I have it here. So if there's a player, if he were to fall in from round 1, is there a player, if he falls after round 1 into round 2, would you make up, or even late into round 1, would you make the move up for him if you were Miami? What player would that be, and what would you be comfortable giving up? What's up, Cap for Life?
There's really not a player in this draft that would fall that I'd have to say, let's get all the way up to the first round and get him. It's going to cost a lot to get there from 102, and the 102 is near the bottom of the 3rd round, so I'm not. And
so let's go some names very quick. And then for maybe so Aiden Hutchinson, he's falling. He's in pick 29 where Miami had him. Would you be comfortable trading up for him?
As long as the due diligence is there, why he's falling. For me, he's worth going up for, and we do need pass rushers. But how much am I giving up for him? So I need to keep at least 1 first next year.
Yeah.
I need to keep 3 of the 5 picks in the first 3 rounds next year. So
you're okay going from 5 to 3.
Right. I'd rather give up players.
Yes.
And next year's picks than give up next year's picks. Like I'll give up guys like maybe Gesicki, who's basically a 1-year rental at this point. Give up guys like Bowden, like package deal of a couple players to move up.
You see, you brought up Gesicki and see, we were doing our mock drafts and I even saw Omar Kelly did his Miami Dolphins mock, and he had, and I'm going to butcher this name, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because that's how you are. Tight end Jalen Wademeyer. Is that about right?
Yeah. You talking about the one from Virginia?
Yes. He had him on the board. So if for whatever reason, or let's say, is it a possibility that Miami with Hunter Long, Mike Gesicki, Smythe, and
Shaheen,
could they make a pick at tight end? And is that player who I've investigated, and he has some good reviews, and I like what I've seen from him. But would he be a fit? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Because look, I love Gesicki. I love the character he is. I love the leader he is. I love the player. And I'm not for, they have to fit the system. I'd rather you fit your system around players. I feel like Mike McDaniel would do that. But if you have a goal in mind and you have a large majority of your players already fit what you're trying to do, and you have one guy like you're trying to make work, but someone's interested in trading for him, just make the trade for him and go get somebody that hey, I know exactly how to use him. There's no thinking. I can just flat out play him how I want to. And he's one of those guys. Gesicki is one of the guys that you could probably get a decent value out of in a trade. You're not close on a deal right now. You're still working that out. Not saying it can't happen. You're on a franchise tag. There's offenses that would love to have him as a receiver role and the kind of role he's played. And there's a lot of teams I think that would love to have him. that I think are close to winning that would probably trade for him, that would be willing to trade down. And I'd be willing to trade him. I love Gesicki, and I'd root for him for another team, and I'd hope he'd have success somewhere. I just think I think we need more of a full-on tight end, a legit tight end, like a more of a traditional style tight end. But he's actually the kid from Virginia. I actually don't know how to say his last name either. He's one of the ones I've been really high on. I really love his ability. He's athletic. He's big. He knows how to use – he looks like a basketball player on the field. Like, he knows how to box out, and he actually can block. He's strong at the point of attack. I like what he could become. And with Hunter Long, would not be surprised to see Gesicki traded at this point. I almost kind of get the sense that they franchise him just so he wouldn't walk, so that they can get something instead of nothing.
And I'll say this, Evan. I see Evan Gesicki will have more value at the end of this season or at the end of this year, and he's going to ball this year. You're right. I believe that too. The only issue is that he's on a franchise tag, so he'll be
got to let him walk.
Yeah,
right. Get something now instead of nothing, and you're not going to get a compensatory pick.
Yeah. Omar's mock draft, which was done from the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator. He had Channing Tindall at 102, Georgia linebacker, Matt Araiza, punter at 125, San Diego State. 224, he had Jalen Weidemeyer, Texas A&M tight end. And then 247, Cole Kelly, quarterback, Louisiana. So
Cole Kelly,
yeah, Cole Kelly.
I almost took a late round quarterback just for the hell of it. You know, like looking at doing one. I always did. But
you know, I'm about if we had more draft picks, I'd be on that too, because I believe you should draft a quarterback every season or sign a quarterback until you get the right one. You know, it doesn't have to be a first round pick. I'm talking about late development, you know, whatever, but that is what it is. So let's move on here. Greer said offensive line prospects in this draft. It's a pretty good offensive line group. There's talent all the way through. Tackles, guards, centers. Everyone is looking for pass rushers. There are high-level rushers in this draft. Asked if the team wants to see if it will get a center in the draft before signing a veteran as competition for Michael Dieter. Greer was non-committal. We're always looking for players. We have an opportunity post-draft to add a lot of through undrafted free agency. Some players will always fall through the cracks. We spent a lot of time and effort on the back end of the draft. We've added players every year in the summer, and we'll keep doing that. So I know people are saying, and it's been said before, I see you, Mike. Thanks for watching. You know, that, you know, we have a buttload of tackles and whatever. You know, we don't know what we have in these tackles yet, the ones that we even do have. So I believe Miami will be looking that way as well. I don't think anybody should sleep on that. I mean, we're talking Zach Tom out of Wake Forest, the kid out of Kentucky, Kennard. There's a lot of guys that could be there at 102 who could be worth grabbing, not just because they play tackle, but they offer a lot of flexibility within the offensive line, tackle, center, guard, just like what he's saying. So how do you feel? Do you think he's playing poker here, as Evan's saying, a good poker face? Or do you think he's really letting his cards on the table saying, hey, look, this is where probably we're going here?
He kind of tips his hand without people realizing it a lot. They're going to go out there at center. They already said they want competition for Dieter. I don't think they're going to reach for a center. I think if there's a center there at 1 and 2 that they like, that they know, that they feel can come in and provide competition right away, they'll go after him. Whether it's Alec Lindstrom or it's Jurgensen or Zach Tom, if they feel he's a center, you know, it really just depends. And, you know, centers are hit or miss. There's a lot. You have one of the best centers, Andrews. He was undrafted. And then you got McCoy and Ruiz from Michigan that went play for the Saints. Those two were drafted by the Saints, both in the first round.
Cesar Ruiz?
Second round. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Uh-huh.
He was a first-round pick. McCoy was a second-round pick. So, you know, it's hit or miss. Like, you got good centers that were drafted late, good centers that were drafted early. So I can see a guy in the mid-rounds at center. And that's usually interior offensive line, interior defensive line, linebacker. That's where your value for those kind of positions are anyway, and running back. So to build your core, I mean, that's the position you go with. I think Greer is not going to just flat out say, yeah, we're going to look at center at 1 or 2. He's not going to tip his hand. But I think he's being honest that they're not really 100% sure what they're going to do. They're going to let the board fall to them, and then they're not afraid to get aggressive in undrafted free agency either.
What's up, Bleezy? Thank you for tuning in. And Ronald, thank you. Ronald brings a good point. This is a guy I wanted to bring up too. Fortner, I believe that's from Kentucky, the center from Kentucky. What do you think about that kid?
I like him. I thought he had like some good tape, a little bit of raw. Needs to be developed a little bit more better. Needs a little better hand usage, but I really like what I saw from him as a developmental prospect. Kentucky had some pretty good prospects in the offensive line. I like their game tape as a unit. I thought all of them were pretty good. Kennard was the best, but they had like three of them that I thought were those three. Rosenthal is another one. I thought they were all pretty solid. One of the two, I'd say I'd look at him more at 125, more than I would one of the two.
Yeah, and let me say this, Ronald. I was going to bring up that point. Linebacker. We both had linebackers. Omar had a linebacker, but we both had linebackers in our last Dolphins mock. But I'm going to say this, and I think Evan is pointing to that, and I think, here. I feel at the end of the draft we will end up signing J.C. Tretter and Ingram. The linebacker, I'm starting to have a very strong suspicion that Miami may go the veteran route with linebacker. They had Reuben Foster come in. They had Ingram come in. I think they'll do their due diligence. If there's somebody there that you can't pass up on, like Chad Muma or one of those guys at 102, then I think it's a conversation. Right. But I would not be surprised if Miami kind of either drafted a linebacker in maybe later in the draft, 7th, or trade up in the 5th, 6th, and then sign a veteran like Ingram to either play edge or linebacker for them. I just have a suspicion that's for me. What do you think?
So they have the opposite of that. They have a very veteran defense, right? Not a lot of like extreme youth on this team. The only like two that are really young are Phillips and Holland that are only in second year. A lot of the other starters are in their third or fourth year or plus. So you have a lot of veteran leadership on this team. A lot of guys have been together since 2019. So you could actually afford to have a stud rookie middle linebacker, especially like Tyndall or one of the guys that come from a program like that. Like I'm big on Tyndall because he understands defense at a high level at Georgia. And guys like that and Muma, I think, would be awesome. Like those guys, I think, could step in day one on this unit, man, and really just fill the void that we've been lacking. And they don't even have to be an every down linebacker. I prefer a guy who has a little bit more coverage skills, a little bit more speed. But you get a guy who just understands how to play defense and understands how to read offenses, put him in the middle of the defense, let Baker play his natural role, have Roberts step in with him or rotate with him, kind of coach him up, and Duke Riley, let the veterans kind of groom him a little bit, the coach staff groom him. He won't have to carry a load, and he can slowly grow into that role. And then next year hit the ground running. So I think if you're going to go to rookie linebacker, this could be the year to do it. But veteran makes sense. But Ingram will not dictate whether they go another linebacker in the draft or free agency, because they could draft the middle linebacker and still sign Ingram because he's more the pass rush linebacker role. So that could
exactly. The only reason why I bring that point up is because I haven't seen J.C. Tretter visit Miami. I haven't really seen any center free agents visiting Miami. I think it's more likely they draft a center early than a linebacker, just because of the way the visits are going.
That's true. That's true. Or they could be looking at what's in free agency versus the draft. They might say, "Hey, we know we can get Tretter, so we're not really worried about that." You know, so we
that
know
could be
we
a good
can
point.
get him.
That could, yeah.
And hey, if we don't get a center, we'll get him. But
let's see.
Well, your
Romar, fins up, brother. Thank you for watching. Evan, what lineman would you draft? Any need? What lineman? I guess which offensive lineman, center or guard or tackle? I guess we discussed that on the last show, and I may have.
Hey, I got one name we haven't talked about much at 102 that could be there.
Go for it.
Dylan Parham from Memphis at center. I think he might go higher, but I would love to have him. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. That kid can move, and he seals off really, really well. I really like him.
I like him a lot too, and he's another one who can provide flexibility. I'm glad you brought that up, and I meant to a while back, and I just saw his name.
Where does he go? Does he go second round? Does he go third round? He's not
But
a
you
Power
see,
5 guy.
Here's the thing. A lot of these guys could go higher, but a lot of these top guys could go lower. That's the thing about the draft. That's what I love about the draft. But this year's so freaking weird. And that's why, I was going to talk about it. And, Evan, I see your question. And I mean, I see that you've corrected it. It's defensive line he's talking about. But that's why, Jacksonville. Every year I would expect the first – unless there's some top-end quarterback, I would expect a team to look to try to trade down. But just because the draft is so weird this season with that, I don't expect Jacksonville to move at all. They're going to go whoever, that's why they might disappoint. For me, like I said in my last mock with Jacksonville, I have them going Trevon Walker. So and then I think you had Evan Neal at tackle, if I remember. So it's just a weird draft, just in the end of it. But anyway, to Evan's question, defensive lineman, I guess with the 102 range, we're talking 90s into 102. Is there anyone in particular that you're like, man, I'd love to get this guy even if he's above offensive line? I mean, let me read off what we have here very quick. Isaiah Thomas, Nick Bonito, Cameron Thomas, Jeffrey Gunner, Jeffrey Lakota.
Lakota might be more of a linebacker edge kind of guy. Yeah, man. You know who I really like, and I think he'd be a great fit is Ridgeway at Arkansas. Really like Ridgeway. Nothing about him is really like
at 102.
Yeah, nothing about him is like, oh my God, like he's elite at this, but he's really good at shedding blocks. He's really good at getting penetration and getting in the run lanes. And I don't know, it's weird to explain because normally I like guys who have elite traits, but this guy does his job. He does everything well. You remember Henry Anderson out of Stanford? I think he played for the Jets and Colts, I think. He's kind of like him. He's long, he's strong, he's got a strong base. I think he could really play a 5-tech and next to Raekwon and allowing Sealer to kind of be that rotational guy. I think that would add really good depth to the defensive line. Could allow you to go 4-man front quite a bit. And I like the thinking of getting depth on the D line because we have Davis, Jenkins is filler, Sealer, who I really like, and Ogball is kind of that in-betweener guy. So I would like to get another guy that fits the Raekwon Davis mold. But Raekwon Davis, we felt that injury when he got hurt, and Butler's solid, but Butler's not Davis at all. He's not. He's more of a rushing tackle. So I think Ridgeway would be a perfect complement to Davis, and on short downs or against tough running teams, he would help set the edge really well. I think Ridgeway would have to be my answer there.
All right, John Ridgeway. It's John, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. And all right, and Racine, thank you for tuning in. Offensive line and defense are of the defensive end is what Greer kept saying in his presser. Defensive end are risky. Yeah. So let's see here.
Yeah. Pass rushers are risky in general.
Always. Yeah. But now this is what I'll say though about this draft. This is what I like about this draft. See, when you have a first-round pick or even a high first-round pick, you're going to go after popularity. You're going to after the big obvious names, and then you really don't get a good feel of your scouting departments and your general manager's knowledge of these young players, college players, and his knowledge of scouting. 4th, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's when your scouting department it comes into play, where you could find players that we're not even talking about players, and Miami's going to draft a player we didn't talk about, and you're going to go, who the hell is that? That's a guy that they believe. You know what I'm saying? So
day one is usually really heavy GM, and then and depending on the layout, really heavy GM, owner, and coach. And then day 2 is typically the assistant GM starts getting involved, coaching staff starts getting involved, and then day 3 it's scouts, assistant GM, coaching staff. They're all getting involved because you need a hands-on effort to do all that. And plus the picks are coming in like that. You know what I mean? So you need to be ready. But yeah, that's where that starts breaking down. So yeah, you're right. And that's where you need to be on the ball because you can find gems in day 3. And so far the Dolphins have found some pretty solid players. Even if role players, it's still a win, in my opinion, on day 3 picks.
Yeah, 100%. That's why the media, they're only talking about first-round picks. No one's really talking about or first-round caliber players. Where these guys, they're looking way deep. They're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
second division schools and going deeper in there. Let me, before this disappears on me here, Till Dog, Jermaine Johnson. Thanks for tuning in, man. Jermaine Johnson would be a steal. He would if he gets
Love
there,
him.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I highly doubt he'll be there.
The only thing that bothers me with Jermaine Johnson, he transferred out to go to FSU to have a system and less competition in front of him. So, and there's some off the field stuff with him. So he could be at risk and could fall. He's a guy that could be awesome. Boye Mafe out of Minnesota, I'd love to have.
Yes.
Logan Hall out of Houston, another defensive tackle I'd like to have. But Maji Sanders from Cincinnati or Terry Smith.
He
from,
may be there.
Ohio
He'll
State.
probably be there. Yep. Maji Sanders in the round 3, 102.
Both guys need a little bit developing, but those guys I like a lot.
Evan writes, thanks for answering. Eric Johnson in the 7th. Keep watching, Evan. You might be happy. All right. Excuse me.
Love me some Eric Johnson, man.
Let's keep going with Chris Greer here.
Yeah.
All right. So, in regards of Tua, he mentioned that all the team's coaching candidates, quote unquote, felt excited and wanted to work with him and felt they could win with him. The history of the research they've done shows they really believed in him as we did. Exciting times, end quote. Greer said the research indicated to him that the coaching candidates weren't praising Tua for the sole purpose of getting the job, but actually believed it. Greer said the new head coach, Mike McDaniel, and quarterbacks coach Darrell Bevell said, quote unquote, have been raving about Tua and the time working with him in the meeting room and on the field. So we will touch on that. High praise from Greer. Obviously, the coaching candidates they did interview, we know. I'm going to lose his name now. The guy from the Giants who was in Buffalo.
Brian Daboll.
Thank you, Mike McDaniel, etc. All high praise for Tua in these interviews. First off, this is good news for Miami fans. It's good news for Tua and obviously it has shown that Mike McDaniel has gone out of his way to have a great relationship or building that great relationship with his starting quarterback. But got to ask you, when he says that he believed that these coaches weren't praising Tua just to try to get the job, that they actually believe that. I know Evan's gonna have a field day with this if I know where you're gonna go. Do you believe that?
Yes and no. I mean, I think they were just trying to want the job one, but at the same time, I think they're praising Tua from his Alabama days as a prospect at what they evaluated. So they're probably saying, hey, this is what I saw from him and this is what I will do with him. Now, if Brian Daboll was legit, look, I saw enough on game days that I think Tua could be really good that I could work with, that would mean something because he saw him twice a year. You know what I mean? But of course they're going to say that. But he followed it up with they felt that they could win with him. If you take over the Packers, no coach is going to say, I think we can win with Aaron Rodgers. No one's going to say that. Oh, I think we can win with Josh Allen. God, I hope so. They're not saying that. I think we can win with Tom Brady. No, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to take us a long way. I think Tom Brady's going to take me along. It's not – I feel like they're forcing praise, and maybe it's legit, but it almost feels forced. And to say, I think we can win with him, that's not an indictment of elite quarterback. That's I can't wait to see where he takes us, or I can't wait to see where we can go with this offense. But as far as in the meeting rooms, that's refreshing to hear that Bevell and him are having good meetings and they're clicking. That's really good because Bevell's known to help young quarterbacks. Doesn't mean he's going to be elite, but Bevell's a smart quarterback coach. He's had success everywhere with quarterbacks. So I like that. He knows the system really well. If he's picking up the system, that's great. But that's my biggest concern there is mental with him anyway. But it feels forced. But the part that doesn't is them saying they've had productive meetings with him in the film room and all. That's something I've been wanting to hear.
Yeah, I will say, in regards of interviews, we've all been in a job interview. We've all kind of said things to help make people like us a little more. So
it's the best company I've ever interviewed for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I love the atmosphere. I love this chemistry. I think we can work this out. Everybody goes through that. So and him saying it, I think he's just trying to make fans feel better and make fans say, hey, look, we believe in this kid. And all power to it. What I love is right away the chemistry between Tua and Mike McDaniel. And again, the way this team is built, there should be no question, or there's no reason why we can't get the best out of Tua. The best version of pro Tua should be his coming season with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Cedric Wilson, Deebo? What? No, just kidding. Hey, whatever.
Or anybody else they add.
There's no reason why. So, and the biggest, it doesn't matter who you have on paper, right, or whatever. Or, offensive line was a big need to me. Just Mike McDaniel and the way he first interacted with Tua, which was on Twitter. Dolphins put it on social media. That phone call, him going to the luau. That is the biggest factor for me that will play into Tua's success going into next season. Having that coach that he knows, at least going into next season, who has his back. Hey, let's get the best version of you. Now, does that mean by Greer's comments and McDaniel and the way everything, that if Tua, for whatever reason, which there should be no reason, after all the work he's put in, after the offseason of what Miami has done, he doesn't step up, if he doesn't go in, and play his best football, consistency, whatever. I'm not talking, I know people want to fantasize 5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, whatever. Oh, yeah. I'm not talking about that. It could be 3,800 yards. Dream. It could be 25 touchdowns, whatever. If it's consistency, if it's not costing games, if it's what, you could see more comfortable, you see a little bit of version of Alabama Tua, then you're golden. But if you don't, that doesn't mean he's locked in. This guy could go ahead and get his guy, whether that's through the draft or free agency next season. But again, I believe we're going to get the best version of Tua because there's no way it can't be. If there isn't, then we're done with it.
We also removed the entire idea that they're trying to sabotage him now, because now they're surrounding them with talent. Mike McDaniel supported them. They did a whole video on purpose with him on the plane talking to Tua. That was media forced to show that he is supporting Tua. I'm not saying he doesn't actually support him, because he does. I think he actually does support him, but it's also showing the fan base and Tua, hey, we support you. We're ready to move on. This fly's killing me. So they're actually it's that damn time of year. They're actually showing support, and Greer saying that about they were excited to work with him and they believe in him like we do. That last sentence, they believe in him like we do, is Greer letting Tua know through the media, and the media know, hey, we have 100% have his back. We're going to do this, and that's going to give him the confidence. And it also eliminates, hey, look, we've publicly supported you. We've stuck our neck out for you. If you fail, this is on you. We're moving on. We've done everything we could to make you the better quarterback. Everything now is on you. If you don't do it, then, you didn't put enough work in, and we have to move on.
Evan says Tua is reading Bret's tweets and will be super motivated.
Good.
The fly believes in Tua. That's awesome.
I think that fly's like a shark right now. Say something bad about Tua. I dare you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So, look, we're going to touch on this just because it was addressed on the Tom Brady rumors. He declined to address reports by Pro Football Talk and the Boston Globe that Tom Brady not only planned to join the Dolphins ownership group this offseason, but also would have been given a high-level executive position. According to Barry Jackson, a source confirmed those reports. The plan reportedly was torpedoed by the Brian Flores lawsuit against Miami.
Of course.
And Brady, weeks after retiring, decided to continue playing. Brady will be a free agent after the 22 season and could sign with Miami next spring if either the party wants that. It's widely expected that he will join the Dolphins ownership group at some point, in part because of his friendship with with owner Stephen Ross and owner in waiting Bruce Beal, the team's vice chairman.
Listen, they're not going to tip their hand and give Brian Flores the lawsuit.
Exactly.
That's why they want to go to arbitration now. They basically just want to pay this shit and make it go away.
Like I said, this isn't a conversation for this season. I know everybody was freaking out and jumping all over this Tom Brady to Miami playing rumor. This is not a conversation for this season. This is a conversation for next offseason. If Tom Brady continues to play the way he did last year, I know people want to talk about his age, but this is not Peyton Manning version of the last year of his career. He still played at a high level. Do I think Tom Brady will be a Miami Dolphin? I do. Either as an executive and part owner, it's going to happen. I just think if the writing's on the wall, a player, that's a different story. If Tua doesn't do what he's supposed to do, and Tom Brady continues to play the way he plays, and yes, I think that's a conversation that could happen. You know, and again, we talk about system. I know people might say, "Oh, well, you know, Tom Brady doesn't fit McDaniel's system." Well, as Bret has said, it's not about fitting into a system; it's about fitting around the player. But I will say, as Evan pointed out about Jimmy G, even though he says Tua is an upgrade from Jimmy G, Tom Brady, Jimmy G, you know. So, I'm not going to make much of it until next offseason. But yes, I don't think Chris Greer's going to say a damn thing about it and he hasn't knocked it off either. He hasn't said nothing about it because, yes, it is something that is looked at later down the line.
Yeah, they're obviously not going to talk about it. They're going to decline comments about it, and they did want to talk to Brady, and it was going to be tampering, which every team tampers. I don't know how people think it doesn't. The whole like tampering period, you know, remember when that all started? It's just the owners run the NFL, not the commissioner, you know, so people need to keep that in mind. So this is the whole lawsuit. The whole NFL is going to look bad for it. So obviously they're going to try to like not discuss things until the investigation's over, which also they're not allowed to discuss things until the investigation's over either. But if we're being real, they're just trying to cover their ass and make sure they don't discuss things that could incriminate themselves. So, right.
Rasim, it's not permitted in the NFL to be a player owner. You're right. It's not. No. That's why, you know, if he would have retired, he probably would have jumped in on that ship, especially if Tua was still quarterback. But going next season, if Tua's not that guy, and Miami's looking for that quarterback, they want to make that Super Bowl run with a 3-year or 2-year window with Tyreek and et cetera, then, yeah, you know, Tom Brady could sign as a player, quote unquote, and later after he retires, join the ownership group with Bruce Beal and be an executive.
He could have his salary converted to like ownership stakes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like almost like trade it for a stake in the team, but he's not coming as part owner just to sit and own the team either. Let's keep that in mind. He's coming for more. He's going to have say in the team too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, what does that say for Chris Greer if Miami doesn't win with this roster or next year? What happens with Chris Greer? Does Tom Brady take control that way?
Yeah.
So let me, before we get into our mock drafts here, and I know people get sensitive about the Tom Brady thing or the quarterback situation. Again, there's no way I can't see Tua cannot succeed with this offense. Tyreek, Jalen, Cedric Wilson, the running back situation, Mike Gesicki, and the offensive line. There's a little bit of question marks there, but again, Tua should succeed with there. So this shouldn't even be a problem. But you don't want Tom Brady to be owner or an executive with the Dolphins? Tough. More than likely, that's
going to happen anyway. You can't stop that from happening. The owner's going to do what he wants to do. And there's all the Michigan connections.
We're going to get into our mock drafts now, and then we'll get a little more into everything else. But before we do that, do you see Miami trading up from 102, and how high could you see them moving up if they did?
I honestly, if they were trading up from 102, I'd say like low second round to higher up in the third round.
I agree.
Can't really see them going up much higher than that.
All right, so let's get this going here. Make sure I got everything pulled up. All right, perfect. Okay, so Brady, you ready to reveal your final Miami Dolphins mock draft?
I am, because this one's different, and I'm excited about this one.
Yes, sir. All right, so we're gonna go pick one. Well, first off, let's review the picks Miami does have. This is going to say FinsTalk today, but that's okay. We're all under the same umbrella. All right, FinsTalk today. We have 4 draft picks. Round 3, we got pick 102. Round 4, pick 125. And then 2 7-round picks, 224 and 247. All right, so pick round 3. We're at round 3. Miami has stayed there. They haven't traded up. They haven't traded back. They're going to make their pick at 102. Bret fills in for Chris Greer. With the 102nd pick in the NFL draft, the Miami Dolphins select
Cam Jurgens, center, Nebraska. Absolutely love this. I mean, he would be a stud in this system. Nebraska, he's that like typical Nebraska offensive lineman. And remember, with Scott Frost, running a little bit more of a spread, little bit more of a zone system. So, and he has done an amazing job. I think he fits that nastiness. I'd love to see what he can do. And he'd probably supplant Dieter, but that would leave Dieter to be like a solid backup and rotational guy. So give us depth. But I mean, obviously he'd compete with Dieter, but I think he could win out the job and be a starter.
Awesome. All right. We got pick 125, round 4. The selection is
Zamir White, running back, Georgia. The great part about these Georgia running backs is they don't have a lot of mileage or usage. There's 3 or 4 of them in the backfield like that they rotate every game. And these guys are not worn down. They're not beat up. They all fit the zone system. They all fit really well. They all catch the ball. Zamir White can be a hammer, but he's explosive. He's strong. He was the one that got a little bit more carries, but Zamir White is if he's there at 125, I jump all over taking him. I think he can be rotate in with the backs and, again, contributes right away, but doesn't have to be a starter, and it gives us depth at the running back position.
awesome. All right. Now, Miami sit back. They've gone out to lunch, dinner. They've slept in. It's round 7, pick 224. Who do we got?
Eric Johnson, defensive line, Missouri State. This is a guy I keep raving about, but like I watched him at the Senior Bowl and I was very impressed. And then I said, well, let me watch the film. No, I was impressed again. He's strong at the point of attack. He needs to learn to read his cues a little more, but man, he can collapse on offensive line. He has the length, his strong hands, which is something that I know they covet. Well, I know Boyer covets at his defensive line. I think he's a good fit. He fits like what I said with Ridgeway was basically that same kind of role. I think he can play really good run defense, which is his key, and I think he can come in on early downs right away. He is one of my favorite prospects, probably my favorite under the radar prospect.
Awesome. All right. So, again, not too far down, about 20 picks down, 247. Miami remains there. They don't no trading up, no trading down. 247, who we got?
Dari Rosenthal, offensive tackle from Kentucky. Yes, Kentucky. He transferred from LSU. Very lean offensive tackle. Needs to put on a little bit of weight. Very reminiscent of Linnell Coleman, who we drafted last year at UMass. Very lean, kind of built like a tight end, but could bulk up and be a developmental pick. I like the idea that we can get 2 developmental guys in the 7th round that could eventually come in as rotational guys or starters. And if not, you didn't really waste anything, but definitely developmental. Rosenthal has a lot of good athletic ability, has good length, good feet, has a high ceiling if you can get that out of him, if you can develop him.
Awesome. All right. And, of course, I know Evan is excited about the Eric Johnson. He brought that up earlier, so there you go. Okay. Okay. All right. So there you go. 102, Cam Jurgens. 125, Zamir White. 224, Eric Johnson. 247, Dare Rosenthal. All right. Now,
and keep in mind, it's all interior offensive line, or it's offensive line, defensive line, and running back. Again, this is where the value is for those positions.
So, Bret, vet linebacker as none picked in the draft. Ingram, then?
It would probably be Ingram, and then would see what's available at middle linebacker in the market, either trade or free agency, or just kind of run with what we have for now. It just really depends. And then see the undrafted market. There's probably going to be a couple of decent guys in the market on undrafted side, and see what you can find.
Undrafted free agents. Just look out for those guys. For the positions you think that Miami should go, don't be surprised. Miami's digging deep in those late round picks and of course, undrafted free agents. Okay, so now it is my turn. All right, so we're gonna go here. Make sure I got my stuff ready here. All right, so pick 102. This guy was my pick 125, but I think he could go a little higher, and I hope he's there at 102. But my first pick at 102 for the Miami Dolphins in round 3 is Cole Strange from interior offensive lineman, Chattanooga. 6'5", 307 pounds, highly experienced offensive lineman, very intelligent, tough, high motor, and a people mover in the run game. A very aggressive blocker. I just love what I see from this guy. And, I mean, I hope he's there at 102. I had him at 125, but, again, I think he's going much higher. Offers position flexibility and depth on the offensive line. Played multiple positions, 41 of those coming at left guard, 2 at left tackle, and 1 at center. Just love this pick for Miami. What do you think about Cole Strange, Brett? We'll go through that as we're going through these picks.
I love him. He's down there at the Senior Bowl. A lot of coaches were asking to play center. I think that's going to be his home. But you're right, position flexibility, mainly interior. I think he is a center long-term in the NFL, but I think
I agree.
In a pinch, he could play left guard if you need to, if you have injury there or issues there. I think he could separate in and play guard, and you can have someone else play center, but I love him at center long-term. One thing I loved about him, he didn't wear gloves, and he had that half-bar face mask, vertical bar face mask. He just had that old-school toughness that you just love to see, and he wanted to compete to prove he belonged. And he's the kind of guy I think he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder.
Awesome.
I love that pick.
All right. So you and I kind of followed the same formula here, or the same kind of mindset, despite not looking at each other's mocks. For pick 125, I actually have Miami going Kyren Williams, running back out of Notre Dame. Both these guys, Cole Strange and Williams, have both visited Miami, private visits. Williams, 5'9", 194 pounds, 204 attempts, 1,002 yards, 14 touchdowns. As a receiver, 42 receptions, 359 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8.5 yards per catch. All-around back. I was watching the Clemson game, Brett, and one thing I noticed with him is that, the kid is he plays bigger than his size, 5'9", 194. Yes. He's an aggressive ball carrier, plays bigger and stronger. Yeah, very good receiver. Actually played wide receiver in high school. Very good blocker. I love his awareness when it came to blocking, picking up the blitz. These were big dudes running at the quarterback, and he dropped them. A lot of these guys roll over. Very shifty, finds and hits the hole, win in a tight spot. I'm very intrigued by this kid, and I think he'd be a very good fit in Miami. He could be a third down back, and he'd be fitting a good fit for a rotational situation at the running back position. I like him a lot.
Let's see. He could fall. I like him in the 4th round here because he could fall because of that 40 time, but I could care less about the 40 time.
I agree.
And he has, when he runs, you have shoulder pads or knees to hit. That's it. Like it's hard. You don't have much to hit with him, and he has good contact balance. I love to see him.
What I'll say about this too, what I love about it, what I would like about Miami going after this kid is also, you're talking about, again, protecting the quarterback, and that's the one thing that stuck out to me a lot too with him was for his size, for the type of blocks that he was making. Gaskin can't make those type of blocks. I'm not sure about Edmonds and Mostert, but I know Williams could make those blocks. And again, as a receiver, I was very impressed, and definitely very shifty. He made a lot of guys miss in a very tight spot. When that line broke and he was caught in the middle, he found his way out. I just love the vision for this kid as well. So, yes, he could fall. You brought up the 40 time, but again, I think could be a steal at 125 for Miami if he's there and Miami goes that route.
And he fits the mold of a back from like the Shanahan school of thought with the whole, all right, he runs slow. I don't really care. Does he hit the hole? That's all I care about. Can he find the rushing lanes and get there on time? Yep. And which Kyren Williams can. I really like that. That's a good value there.
And Ronald, I see your thing, and you know what? Pierre Strong. We talked about him on the last show. I love Pierre Strong in the late rounds. I think he'd be a great fit too. I'm big on that kid. What do you think about Pierre Strong, Brett?
I like him as a perfect fit, and I agree with you. In the later rounds, probably 5th, 6th round.
That might be a trade up from 7. He can learn from Ingold. Yeah, and that's one thing people are sleeping on too. Alec Ingold, the fullback. I think he's going to make a big impact for Miami. I know a lot of people are talking about Tyreek and Terron Armstead. Obviously, but biggest impact I think could be for Miami is Ingold. I'm excited about seeing what he can do, and Williams and Ingold together I think would look great too. Okay, so I'm sorry. 224. I have. Let me see here. Make sure I have this right. 224. Oh, I missed that up there. That's okay. So 224. I'm going to go with Jalen Watson, cornerback out of Washington State.
Okay.
plays to his size, big, strong, physical presence in the secondary. What I like about him too is he could play on special teams. He was a gunner on punt returns, light up a lot of returners. His experience playing safety in high school offers position flexibility, which Bret, for me is big for Miami. Needs to be coached up. Needs to work on his footwork as a defensive back at the pro level, but he could make the NFL roster for what he can do on special teams. 23 solo tackles in 21, 2 interceptions, 3 pass deflects in 21, 6'2", 197. Some people had it 6'3", but I think he measured at 6'2", 197. What do you think about Jalen Watson as at the pro level or at Miami as a fit?
Well, I like your idea behind it. Draft him as a developmental guy, but mainly get runs on special teams. He does like to hit. When you watch his special teams tape, he will hit somebody. I do like seeing that. He's physical. He's a pretty solid tackler, honestly. But
yes, he is.
I really like his length too. He might not develop into anything more than a special team corner, but if you remember Walt Aikens,
that's my
key,
Yep.
So somebody like this could play that role, and that's more important. People realize. I like that. It's not a sexy pick, but it could be developed maybe eventually as a starter. Who knows? You never know those things. But I love it. Love the concept of bringing in depth on special teams and competition on special teams.
It's 7th round pick. Evan, I don't know better than Noah. I'm not sure. That's not but for me, I think he could contribute on special teams. Noah, I hope, gets a better opportunity this season. But this guy, again, he could play safety. He could play corner. I see him more in those special team situations, again, as a gunner on defense. That's what he played in college. So that's
but Noah's been struggling on special teams a lot. He's been making a lot of mental mistakes on special teams, which is why he didn't see the field. And in order to earn time, you have to play special teams. So
especially when you're a late pick or even a first round pick who hasn't time to see in the field. You want to see time in the field, earn it on special teams. But I think Jalen could provide that. All right. So, and this is where I was having the struggle here, because this guy could be at 224 or he could be 247. If he was healthy, the next pick I'm going to talk about, he could go way higher. He has that potential. We're talking defensive line. We're talking defensive end Christopher Allen out of Alabama. Okay. This kid last season, again, the numbers weren't sexy, but 2 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 6'4", 242.
But he played with injury all year.
Yeah, if not for injuries, he'd go much higher, in my opinion. Missed the whole 2018 season and played just 1 game last year. 2020 numbers: 33 total tackles, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. Physical specimen, has that NFL body, could play linebacker, could play edge, decent in the run game, and should get some playing time if healthy as a rotational edge rusher. Again, he could go much higher. You could switch it from 224 to 247 with either of those guys, Bret. But Christopher Allen, I would like this pick for Miami for depth reasons, but also as a potential starter later down the line. What do you think about Christopher Allen?
I like the route you're going here with him as maybe a steal. Basically, you're looking at an undrafted free agent here.
Yep.
You're basically like, this kind of guy might go undrafted and you pick him up. We've seen guys like that before that go undrafted because of injury history and they go on to have a solid career in the NFL. Injury history is a part of the evaluation process. Let's be honest. So that could be why he falls. I'd expect him to go like maybe 5th round because the potential is there, but he has yet to really fully stay healthy. Like you said, he missed all of 18. He missed pretty much all of 21, all but 1 game. So, production's really low. So guys like that fly under the radar. So if he goes in the 7th round, would not be surprised. Even if he goes undrafted, wouldn't be surprised. But again, you're looking at value here, a developmental guy, somebody can bring along. Hey, Jalen Phillips has an injury history. And, of course, he had a fantastic final year in Miami. But, Allen has the ability to be a good edge rusher. However, the injuries played a big part. So if you can get them and you can develop them, you might have a complete steal. And if not, you have depth and someone to develop. And if he's injury-plagued in his career, you only spent a 7th-round pick. You didn't really waste it. You tried. That's where the value is.
And the key thing here, we know Chris Greer loves injured players. So that's one thing that stuck out for me. No.
Are you stealing my tweet? Well, When I found out Edmonds had injury history,
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
oh, it falls right under Chris Greer's MO on the draft or sign injured players. Got it.
That's right. I mean, and again, but you're right, and that's what I like. I mean, he could go much higher. I mean, if this guy actually had time to play on the field, he could have moved himself up into early second type of player. But because of injuries, you think in that 5th round range, or just completely falling off the board, and Miami could get him as an undrafted free agent, or late in that 7th round.
I say we've seen that. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but we've seen guys that like go undrafted, whether something off the field or something like they've had like injury plagued history, and they end up going undrafted and end up having a decent career in the NFL or getting a shot. And it's like, man, why couldn't we find that guy? It's like, well, you know, he had an injury history, so no one took him. So yeah, but then again, Greer is willing to take risks like that. He took risks like that in the 1st round of all of 2020. But he does look at that risk versus reward, and he's taking guys that have fallen low and said, you know, I'll give them a chance, and if they work, awesome. If not, it's not a big deal. We don't really lose much.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it, guys. So please, you know, let us know what you think in the comments. Obviously, you're watching FinsTalk Overtime. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching this show post afterwards, put what your mock draft is, or put it here in the comments below. You know, I would love to see it. I know Bret would like to see it. You can follow us on Twitter, of course, Bret Legassi 67, Bobby FinsTalk, and of course, FinsTalk today is the Twitter follow. All right, FinsTalk Overtime, FinsTalk today. It's obviously Miami Dolphins, me and Hank. And in FinsTalk Overtime, we're talking Miami, of course, but we're also going to be talking about around the league. I want to start kind of going in that direction as we talk about the Dolphins, because how that affects Miami as well. So, Bret, we're gonna discuss about what we're thinking about doing for draft day and draft day for Miami. Miami could shock the world and trade up into the first day and the round 1, or maybe in the round 2, but we're talking round 3, and whatever. So let's discuss a little bit about the rumors going into round 1. We've talked about, you know, we don't think it's likely Miami trades into round 1. They are listening, but round 2 is a possibility.
It's possible
from pick 3 to round 2, late round 2. But let's talk about this. So I got about 10 teams here. I try to keep up with what goes. That's how I do my mock draft. Of course, now that Miami doesn't have a 1st round pick, I only did 1, and that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have the 1st pick. We both think it's unlikely they move from that pick. You had Evan Neal. You're still comfortable with that pick?
It's hard to say, honestly. The Jaguars are such a wild card. I think I feel like Evan Neal might be the pick they go with there.
I had Travon Walker. Let's see here. Tony Pauline says the Jacksonville Jaguars are targeting Travon Walker as a possible number 1 overall pick. They do like Aiden Hutchinson, and they like Aiden Hutchinson better than Evan Neal, was reported from Charlie Campbell. They also like Derek Stingley and Jameson Williams, but I don't see any of those guys being the 1st pick.
Of course, they like Hutchinson. They want someone. They want someone to move up to get Hutchinson.
That's right. And the only team I could think will move up is the Lions, but the Lions are number 2, so they don't have to. Talk about the Lions. The Lions want more than a 2nd round pick for Jared Goff, according to Charlie Campbell of WalterFootball.com. Good luck with that. You know, there's no way. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe team gets desperate, but no.
Well, I want $1 million for my house. Am I not going to get it then? Well, the hell, man.
Let's see. Out of many one, I see you there. We'll get to that Deebo question because we do want to talk about Deebo before this is over. Texans plan to build around Davis Mills as their starting quarterback going forward. I actually like that. What about you?
Too early to tell. So he wasn't bad at all as a rookie, but definitely wasn't like lighting it up either. However, I think it's smart to not try to change quarterback this year and to build around him. And that's also fodder to get someone to trade up in that pick to make sure that they, so they could trade down and get more picks to build around them.
Teams like Houston now, even Miami will, but again, I think Tua can light it up this season with this offense. But Miami, Houston, Philly, I think are all following the same formula. See what they got with the guys they got, and then see what happens next season.
Giants are another team to look because they want to add picks for 2023.
Yeah, that's right.
So 100%. They could trade down too. So now I don't know if I stole your thunder there.
No. Joe Douglas from the Jets, general manager, has been gushing about Treylon Burks, according to Tony Pauline. I mean, who would it? They need a weapon. They missed out on Tyreek. They're missing out on Deebo, it looks like. So
A lot of people
Treylon Burks
compared
doesn't
him
have a
to
choice.
Deebo.
Yeah, a lot of people. Treylon Burks wouldn't have a choice if he gets drafted unless he decides to sit back, which I would love if the Jets tried to trade him or draft him and he decided to sit out. But I would not be surprised if they go wide out there. Giants are open to trading one of their first-round picks. They would like a 23 first-rounder, according to Draft Diamonds, NFL Draft Diamonds. The Giants could take 2 offensive linemen at 5 and 7, according to Charlie Campbell. That's not out of the realm. I just don't.
It's not out of the realm, but I mean, what offensive linemen are going to be there at 5 and 7 that is worth without reaching? You know,
yeah.
Every time I run a simulation, every time I try to do that, it doesn't work. You know, looking at it like they're not going to reach for that. I don't see the Giants staying put at 5 or 7.
No, I don't
those
see
picks
them
are trading down.
I mean, I wish. I think I have my mock here.
And they want to trade Kadarius Toney too, by the way.
I had it where
Ikemekawanu, and then they traded down with the Chiefs.
City, Garrett Wilson. So, this was my first mock, and I didn't change it. So, of course, things could change, but so it did. So yeah, they did move up.
Yeah, and that's the value. And then they go to get Tyler Smith from Tulsa down there at 29. See, that would make more sense because I mean you're forcing picks at 5 and 7. I don't think like 2 of the top offensive linemen will be there at 5 and 7 unless something crazy happens at the top.
And it's smart to go offensive line there because they want to see what they got with Jones and what they want to protect Barkley, who hasn't stayed healthy.
Right.
So it could happen. So, okay. The Panthers are impressed with Desmond Ritter, Joe Person, the Athletic. They don't have to reach for Ritter. They could wait.
They could wait on Ritter, get him in the second round, I think. I don't think he's going to go early. I don't think anyway. But then again, they're rumored to get Baker Mayfield. And all of a sudden now the talk is Ritter as the second best quarterback or up there with Malik Willis. So there's
he's been moving up. He's been moving up.
And maybe it does happen. Maybe he goes in the first. He's kind of have a Tannehill type kind of climb, and that's funny because he's actually very similar to Tannehill. But I don't know that if they take him at 6.
No one should be surprised if the Commanders draft Malik Willis.
No.
Dan Graziano, ESPN. I don't know if he's going to be at that pick. I mean, he could be, but
doubt it. But if he's there for Washington, Washington's got to take him.
Absolutely. The Saints are high on Tyler Smith, Charlie Campbell, offensive tackle Tyler Smith, excuse me. Guard is in play for the Buccaneers in the first round, Charlie Campbell. I would think so as well because they what's his face left and it wasn't coming back.
Well, they got Shaq Mason.
Oh, they did get Shaq Mason, so there you go.
Yeah.
And then the Seahawks like Matt Carroll, Charlie Campbell, quarterback.
It actually makes sense. I can see it, but I don't know. So a lot of these teams like these quarterbacks, but is that the actual quarterback they're going for? I think Seattle and New Orleans are going to be posturing hard for Malik Willis. I think Pittsburgh's going to try to get involved in that. I think Matt Corral really fits Pittsburgh, and I believe in my mock draft I had him going there.
I
can't remember.
Malik Willis, who was the first one? I think Kenny Pickett had going to Carolina.
Yeah, see Pickett. I wouldn't go in the top 10 with Pickett myself. I would take if I'm going to go top 10. Malik Willis would be the only quarterback.
I think and that has changed. I think Malik Willis has gone up to number 1 on most teams' boards who need a quarterback. Yeah. I do have Pittsburgh trading up to 12 to get him. But yeah, I agree with you. Let me see. In Detroit, I had. Well, I'm trying to make sure. I may miss a name here, but let me.
Yeah, it's Sam Howell in Detroit at 32.
That's what number 32. Yeah,
I can see that. I could see that. I can see Sam Howell going the bottom of the first. I think Sam Howell still has something to like. See, he's the quarterback no one's talking about.
Yep. But do you see what I love about Sam? And if this is my thing, I know Malik Willis is the number 1 name for most people, but Sam Howell from North Carolina, I love the dual threat possibilities with him.
Yeah.
And if Miami was in need of a quarterback, which they don't, according to some people, but if they needed one and they were going for one here, I mean, Sam would probably be the guy I would want Miami to go after just because of what he could offer as a quarterback, but also as a dual threat quarterback.
So the way I'm looking at it, if you're already picking at the bottom of the first and you're looking at quarterback and you're pretty confident Sam Howell that's there, trading up for him, yeah, I wouldn't do it. But if, say, at 29, see, even if Miami situation, I don't know if I would have taken him there.
No, I know.
I don't think I'd take – but Sam Howell's the one – he's the wild card no one's talking about.
Yeah,
Pickett bothered me. In the drills at the Senior Bowl, no defense, no nothing. It's just throwing it on air, and he was checking down. I'm like, dude, you got receivers deep. Throw it deep. But he wasn't, and that scared me with his confidence. Like, is he not confident? Because on tape, he seems to be a confident, tough kid, but I'm like, but is he? Because in a strange situation, he seemed to be a little shy, a little gun shy. But when he back at his pro day, he apparently killed it. Be wary of those results, though, because I personally, I saw it. I'm seeing reports from different outlets saying, oh, so-and-so crushed it at the Senior Bowl. I'm like, he did? I didn't see it. I must have been asleep for half the time because I didn't see it. Like, I didn't see him killing it.
Yeah.
Right. So my opinion was different. So be wary of that. My opinion could be completely wrong for all I know. Who knows? But Sam Howell had himself. Malik Willis got better every day. Sam Howell got better every day. Carson Strong and Desmond Ridder actually were pretty. Carson Strong had a really good day one and then kind of fell off. And then Desmond Ridder, like day 2, he was doing really well. Day 3, he did really well. Like he has there's something there with Ridder. I think he needs to be developed. I don't know that he'll ever be like a solid starter, but I think maybe he can be Tannehill level starter. Sam Howell is a little bit of a wild card. I think he needs to be developed, but I think teams are going to be high on him because of what he was early on at North Carolina, because of his ability early on. And I think teams will look at that and say, we might be able to get that out of him. Right.
And he's one of those raw quarterbacks that you got to work on to get. But see, to me, I'm a fan of that. I mean, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, those guys, when they were coming out, they were raw prospects. They had things they had to work on, but the talent was there. Right. And that's what I kind of see with Sam Howell.
But he's not quite as talented as them. He doesn't quite have the arm.
No.
But he's got it. But he can make plays off schedule. He can, and he's a gamer.
Right there.
He's a gamer. He's somewhere between Daniel Jones and or like Baker Mayfield as like his floor.
Good point. Good comparisons. I like that.
But he could be even better than that. I'm trying to think of someone good that he really compares to without like being an unfair comparison. But he can be a pretty solid quarterback overall. Pittsburgh would be a good spot for him.
Yeah,
my opinion.
And let me see here before who is the last undrafted free agent who had success in Miami?
Well, Nick Needham has been a pretty successful free agent. I mean, you remember Devon Best? That was a long time ago.
But it's a good one, Devon Best. Cameron Wake came from Canada. He was undrafted. Was he undrafted from the Giants?
Undrafted, went to the Giants, didn't make the team, played in Canada, and then Miami picked him up.
So, I mean, can Cameron Wake fall in there?
Kind of.
I think Nick Needham would probably be the one, if I would have to say, would be Nick Needham.
Yeah, I think he's been really solid for us lately.
Deebo. I mean, before we close this out, I definitely want to talk about that. I mean, it has to be. I know you've been picking on some people, but
Deebo 2-0 for Deebo. Who says no?
Deebo Samuel. He's in the news. He is up for a new contract. He said he's not interested in a new deal. They've offered him a lot of money. He's just not interested in it. He wants to be moved. I've heard the Packers. I've heard the Jets. I've heard, of course, Miami. There's the obvious connection. The two teams that are obvious, or not obvious, I won't say that for me, but the teams I say look out is obvious for me. It's Dallas or Miami. Those are the two teams that I think that he would want to get moved to. Now, obviously Miami has the ammunition to make that move.
Right.
One out of many who's viewing us, and thank you, he has the question: if now we just need Deebo to make us Super Bowl winners, can Deebo be that piece that could push us over the top?
Well, let's be 100% honest on this, and this is why I've been messing with people on both sides of this argument. Deebo's had one really good year. Yep. He just broke out. So you'd have to, if Mike McDaniel, if the Dolphins trade for him or the Jets trade for him, or even the Packers, because of the LaFleur brother connection, if one of those three guys who are familiar with him, whether it's directly coaching him or from their friends coaching them, then you're pretty confident that that's not a fluke year. But was he manufactured to make all this, like to get those kind of plays? You know what I mean? Because he's a playmaker, but like we've seen guys like that before, and it didn't last long in the league. And he led the league in drops too. However, we know a lot of good players have led the league in drops. It's because they had a high amount of targets at the same time. So he was kind of their offense. So if he goes to Miami, he's not only a receiver for them, but he's also a running back. But he's asking to be traded, and apparently rumor is he doesn't want to play that same role. So then does he even want to go to anybody who's going to do the same thing?
So, and that's my thing. And I see you, Ronald, thank you for watching. We'll get to your question. And then Steve, man, as always, thank you for tuning in. And that's my thing. For me, the way I said it was, or the way I think of it is, solely as a wide receiver, it doesn't push you over the top.
Yeah, I'm not paying $20 million a year.
I'm not paying $20 million. Yeah, I know people go, oh no, $20 million for a receiver. I'm not paying him $20 million just to be a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to knock him either. What I'm trying to say though is his value is as that playmaker, that running back, wide receiver position. I know, the rumor is, or the report is that he doesn't want to play that anymore. I haven't seen an official thing from him, but I have seen it being out there. I don't know how that plays in Miami. Maybe he's more comfortable playing that type of position with the Dolphins if that was to come into fruition. But if he's just solely as a wide receiver, I'm not going to entertain that move. If it's coming in as that Deebo role that he played in San Francisco with Mike McDaniel, which he had his best year, and it was that 1 year. Let's not fool ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, he's worth that because you got your back, and then you got another receiving weapon there in Miami. But if he's solely as a wide receiver, yeah, I don't feel comfortable doing the $20 million, and I wouldn't make the move. But if you get him as that running back receiver role, 100% you make that move.
All right, now devil's advocate, trade for him because you have a playmaker. Now you got 3 big playmakers on the offense. It's going to be difficult. Get impact players. I don't want to hear any more that Tua didn't have weapons, and now he's got a plethora of weapons.
He has a plethora of weapons right now.
Right, and you go get the weapons, and now Deebo doesn't have to play a heavy role, and like he was playing in San Fran, because now you can use Tyreek in that role, Waddle in that role, mix in a little bit of Bowden, mix in according to.
And that's true. San Francisco, they don't have that. When Miami, Steve brought it up. The original Deebo was Tyreek Hill. You have Tyreek Hill. You got Jalen Waddle. You would have quote unquote Deebo if he's there. You have Lynn Bowden. People don't.
Did Percy Harvin not exist? What the hell?
And you know what? That's something. No. My friend Alex brought that up the other day. Look what happened to Percy Harvin, though. That's why Deebo is fighting not to be in that position right now, because
it's a lot of wear and tear on their body. I understand. 100%. Hey, like, dude, I'm a receiver. I'm not working out like a running back. I don't want to be in this backfield constantly. But he'll get less carries in Miami that way.
That's right, and that might be the benefit of it. He might say, look, if I'm going to Green Bay, I'm not going to be a running back. If I go here, I don't want to be the running back. I don't want to play running back here in San Francisco. Miami, it's a different deal. You've got players who could take that spot. You don't know if Deebo's going to take the ball. You don't know if Tyreek would take the ball. So that could come into play, and that's why I said when somebody was saying he doesn't want to play running back anymore, I didn't see that officially from him. I did see the report after I did my research. I will say, though, it might be different in Miami. He might want to do that for Mike McDaniel. He might say, hey, look, I'm not the only playmaker on this offense. I could share the load with Chase Edmonds and these guys, but also Tyreek and Jalen.
But Deebo also didn't play that role until Mike McDaniel became the offensive coordinator either.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
that's why
I'm just throwing that out there.
And that's why, like, when people were saying, if he's not playing that over there, he won't play here. First off, I don't know where his good relationship is. Does he have a great relationship with Shanahan, or is it a great relationship with Mike McDaniel? He's had lunch with Mike McDaniel in the offseason. We've seen it. So
Mike McDaniel was also his wide receiver coach too.
That's the thing right there. So
was Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur is his pass game coordinator. So and McDaniel was a run game coordinator. So there's a lot of aspects here.
And of course, his friend is C.D. Lamb. I know somebody brought that up, and that's why. But Dallas. To me, Dallas needs to make a move. I know Dallas, they love making big moves. So that's why those are the two teams.
Right. And they're not afraid to make a move for a receiver. They traded for Cooper. Remember they traded for Roy Williams back in the day. They traded for Terrell Owens. They're not afraid to trade for weapons. They'll do it.
I just say don't sleep on Miami because it's Miami the way Miami's been going. And Miami has the ammunition to do it. I'm in the mindset of I would trade them Yeah, exactly. I would trade them. Oh, well, Wes Welker's another one, but he was the wide receivers coach in San Francisco at the time.
Mhm.
But I would trade him Miami's first round pick, not San Francisco's, because you're messing San Francisco's season. But I would trade him Miami's first and then maybe a third round pick. I'd give him those 2 picks and get
I'm
on your
all
way.
about it. I'm all about it. Keep Jimmy G as your starter and give us Deebo.
Miami Fins. Excuse me, I'm butchering that, man. I thank you for watching. But Lynn Bowden, and that's the one I was bringing up. People sleep on Lynn Bowden. I think he's okay. I'll let you roll with it. Go Lynn Bowden.
No, look, I know where you're going with it. Look, he's a kick returner.
I'm not saying he's Deebo. I'm not saying he's going to be Deebo.
I know you're not.
But
you're smarter than that.
But he's going to fit well with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and a type of player Mike McDaniel likes. He loves playmakers, and Bowden could be that. He could be that type of playmaker as well.
Yeah, he can be a guy that it could play in the slot, play underneath. He can be a good compliment to them. And he, like I said before, he's going to have to play special teams, but he's going to have to be good to play in this roster. He's going to be a high volume underneath guy, but a lot of people comparing him to Deebo, and he's not. Look, he played quarterback in Kentucky,
and that's not fair to him either.
Wide receiver and returner. No, it's not. That's not his game. He's a versatile guy. We know that. That's what he was in Kentucky. He's not really shown explosive like Deebo is. He's not explosive like Deebo. He's a solid guy. He's shifty. He's very shifty, but he's not Deebo. And I keep seeing that, and it's just crazy to say because that's underrating how good Deebo is. And I watched Deebo in college, and I've watched Bowden in college, and they're different guys. They're very, very much different guys. And Bowden was not picking up the running back book very well with the Raiders. That doesn't mean he can't learn it with McDaniel, but I do think he can be a versatile piece on the offense. I just don't think he can be a focal point like Deebo is. You know what I mean? And yeah. I like Bowden. I like the work he's putting in. I like the fact he's working with Tua. But if I can get Deebo and I have to trade Bowden as part of that package to do it, in a heartbeat.
All right, let's go ahead here. Ronald, thank you for tuning in. I see your question. I had it saved up here. First time posting here. If Channing Tindall or Cam Jurgens are available at pick 102, who do you draft, Bret?
Oh, man, that's tough. So, man, probably Channing Tindall. I had him gone before our pick, and that's why I took Jurgens. Yeah. My other mocks, I've had Tindall there. I think Tindall. That rookie on that's exactly the Achilles heel in our defense. I think Dieter was solid enough at center. I still think you can maybe get Zach Tom or somebody in the 4th round. I go Tindall there.
All right. So there you go. So as we're closing this out, Bret and I are working on this, for, I believe it's Friday is where we expect Miami to draft at 102. I think we both expect that. So what we're thinking is, and what we're planning on doing, and of course you'll see the official word on Twitter, is actually having our FinsTalk OverTime live. Hank will be joining in to give his reaction to the Miami Dolphins pick. And I'm inviting all you guys to join us during the show, maybe 5-10 minutes at a time after the Dolphins pick. Give Bret a piece of your mind in regards of Tua, in regards to pick 102. Give me as well. Evan, Miami Dolphins, Steve, all you guys, everyone deserves to have a voice and to be heard and to react to Miami's picks. And we're thinking about doing that. Evan will be trolling. But so, if you're if you're interested in tuning in and coming on live for 5 to 10 minutes to react to Miami's pick, go ahead and message me, or you can of course message Bret. Of course, Bobby FinsTalk on Twitter, Bret Legacy 67. We'll send you guys the link the day of the show. We will be airing live and reacting live to each pick. And of course, if Miami trades up, down, all around, we'll be there to give our reactions. And we'll have some guests as well. We're going to try to work that as well. So keep us up on Twitter at FinsTalk Today to catch up on all the news and everything else, and more updates on that. And hey, it's draft week next week. It's going to get hot. We look forward to it. And as always, that's Bret Legacy. I'm Bobby Melendez. Fins up, everybody.